Okay, we are going to get started here. First of all, to those who are just joining, if you do have a chance, please feel free to put your name and where you're joining from in the chat. The chat will be a place that you can also provide questions that you have. We'll have some time for Q&A during the session today that we can look back on the chat and draw those questions from. In terms of an agenda for today, first of all, I'm just going to be providing a little brief welcome. My name is Kyle Earhart. I am an associate professor at the Denver campus for the University of Colorado. So it is 6 a.m. here in Denver, where I am coming from. We have a number of different participants today, some that are some division leaders for the OB division with Academy, and we also have a couple more recent OB division members. So hopefully you'll get a chance to get some perspectives from multiple people today as you prepare for attending your first Academy of Management meeting, and if you're new to the OB division. So we'll start with a couple perspectives from some of the OB division leaders after I have this little introduction. I'll have some information for you about other useful events to consider, both going into the meeting and as you are at the meeting initially, as well as we'll have some time for a panel discussion with all of our participants, the new members and the more seasoned members, some chance for Q&A, and then we'll finally close with some time for some breakout rooms that everyone will be assigned to. And the purpose of this is to give you a chance to meet some other individuals who are attending for the first time, so you have a little bit of a contact with some other people before you're going into this meeting for the first time, because it can be overwhelming, the size of this. Just so you have some initial contacts from the start, from today. So that's our purpose today. Just to start, a little bit about the OB division. This is kind of the mission, the vision and such for the OB division that I like to provide. You can find this on the OB division's website for Academy as well. Today's focus is really about that third bullet. The OB division has a number of different factions that really try to welcome new members. And that's kind of what the purpose of today is. You will see that there are other opportunities as well, but really this is trying to help build the community and welcome you. We're happy to have you here. We really want you to get the most out of the meeting that you can. So let us begin then by hearing from some OB division leaders, Marie Mitchell and Jasmine Hu. Marie?
Good morning or good evening, everybody. I'm coming to you from North Carolina. As I was preparing for today, I was thinking about when was my first Academy of Management meeting, and it was in Washington, D.C. in 2001, so 25 years ago. So it's a long time coming, but I can imagine the anticipation and excitement that's going through all of you. Let me give you a little bit of an overview of the OB Division's program and generally some information about Academy of Management's conference, just to give you a setup of what it's like. Okay, so the conference goes from Friday to Tuesday. People generally can come in anytime in between. I've heard it all, and leave anytime in between, and even stay over until Wednesday, depending on what your travel looks like, and how much time it takes you to orient to the Philadelphia time frame. So on Fridays through Sundays is what's generally called pre-program material. This type of material can focus on various activities such as networking events, receptions, and professional development workshops. The OB division hosts a variety of really cool professional development workshops. Some that might be relevant to you, and I'll put them in the chat box in a little bit, are New to OB, Navigating the OB Division and Academy of Management. That is set up to take place on Friday morning early. A research incubator, as well as research roundtables that are held on Friday and Saturday. Here is where you would submit some work and you would actually sit with a scholar and get feedback. on the work that you have ongoing. Unlocking Revise and Resubmits, an ethics PDW that I organize with my colleagues Nikki Den Nieuwenboer and Linda Trevino. Each year we have various topics that we focus on that we believe future scholarship is in need of contributing. This year's topic is on teams or higher level phenomena in ethics. And we have really cool setup with networking events set up within it. There's a postdoc focused PDW. Nevertheless, She Persisted, that happens on Sunday, that focused on really interesting and cool stories of women within the Academy of Management and how they've traversed some of their challenges. Those are just a handful. There are more. And as the program is distributed, we'll have some highlights on really cool PDWs for you to consider throughout the time. The scholarly program begins on Sunday and is through Tuesday. You will hear maybe that people say the scholarly program begins on Monday. Well, that is true years ago, but we've become so big and we've had so many submissions that we are accepting more, which is great, but that means we're starting our scholarly program earlier than we usually do. So there will be paper sessions and symposia scheduled as early as Sunday, and they'll run through Tuesday afternoon. And that's when the program ends. Some things to note that I think are really cool is a new type of submission besides of papers and symposia on the scholarly program called posters. And in posters, these are going to be set up throughout the OB division's hotel. And that will be the Marriott Hotel, by the way. Each division has a centralized location. The OB division is the largest division of all of Academy of Management. And so we largely take camp in one particular hotel versus getting spattered around things. And that will be the Marriott Hotel in Philadelphia. Business meetings are usually on Sundays, I should tell you. And receptions from schools start from Sunday through Monday. Last thing to note is that the OB division will have its reception and networking event, a social award ceremony on Saturday evening between 5:30 and 7 o'clock. And this will be located at the Liberty View at Independence in Visitor Center in Philadelphia. I will put this information in the chat box as well, and it'll be noted in the program as well. So looking forward to any questions that you have. That's kind of just a big overview of the Academy of Management structure.
Jasmine?
Awesome. Thank you, Marie. Super helpful and very detailed guidance of the structure. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jasmine Hu, coming from Beijing, China. Very warm welcome to everyone, especially those who are new. I think most of you are new to the Academy of Management OB division. We're very glad you're here. I remember my first Academy Management meeting is in 2008, 18 years ago. So Marie, you beat me in 3 years. 2008 is in Anaheim, very close to Disneyland, California. I was a first-year doctor student and giving my very first paper presentations. And I remember I also attended OB division doctor consortium. They're like a newcomer doctor consortium, mid-stage doctor consortium, dissertation stage doctor consortium choices. And they always have editors and sharing their advice and also have opportunity to meet with other doctor students. I think that's a wonderful starting point to build what become a very special academic cohort. Just for me personally, we stayed connected year after year because we are going through a very similar career stage. I think that's one of the most important highlights I had taken from Academy of Management. It's very important for many of you to know that in the future, many of you will become friends and co-authors and sources for support and companions on this very long academic journey. So that's really one of the most meaningful parts of AOM and OB division. It's not just to find a place to present your research, it's also a place to find your people. So for those of you who are very new here, I really encourage you to fully enjoy this experience. Present your ideas and ask questions and attend different research sessions and talk to scholars whose names you might have just seen on papers, and maybe reach out to potential collaborators. Some of the most valuable conversations may happen not only in very formal sessions, but in hallways and coffee breaks and receptions. Marie give very helpful information on the OB division receptions, and there are different universities might be holding their own receptions. And so taken together, OB division is a very vibrant, intellectual, rich, and very welcoming community. We care about developmental support and peer learning and also global engagement. There are a lot of opportunities to get involved. In addition to the doctor consortium, they are like making connection mini program, and also as you go through your career stage, and they are like junior faculty consortium, mid-career consortium, different kinds of professional development workshops and symposiums, and a lot of informal networking opportunities you can attend to. So overall, my message here is very simple: welcome, and I hope you be curious and reach out. And AOM can feel very big at first, but OB division can become a very warm intellectual home. And I hope attending this conference will just be the beginning of many meaningful academic conversations, collaborations, and friendship for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie and Jasmine. I have a couple additional kind of things to highlight before we turn to our panel, just so everyone can see these. And some of these have been mentioned by Marie and Jasmine already. By the way, everyone who is here will receive a copy of these slides, because it does include some QR codes for you that you might use for some of these, any kind of registrations for sessions or things like this that you might need to do. And there is also recordings of this session that if you need to go back and see something, you can see. A couple things, I've organized these into resources that might be useful before the meeting and then at the meeting. A couple things in terms of before the meeting. There's a couple links up here. The first is just the link to the OB division homepage. This is a good thing to bookmark, because it's the place that you're going to find new information listed from the OB division. The second of these is actually a page that the General Academy has prepared for first-time attendees or new attendees, new members. This is a place where you will find information about things like, how should I dress? How do I build a schedule? What is this kind of a session like? What's a PDW? What's a symposium? Things like this. It's very general, broad information, but it can be very useful information for first-time attendees. In addition, at this same website that is second, you will also find that the Academy runs a new member brief introduction webinar in July. And the information about when that occurs is listed on this slide. You can register for this directly on that second link that you see there. And I see there's a question. We will get to questions here in just a bit, if you don't mind holding these, just so everybody can see this. So we'll have some time for this. We have built in to the time here in the session. The third of these links that you see is actually a page the OB division prepared that is directly for doctoral students, that gives some information about things such as, how should I prioritize, how I go into AOM depending on the year of my program. So if I'm a second year doctoral student, here's what my priorities should be for this meeting. Or if I'm a third year student, what should my priorities be? What should I be focused on at the meeting? This is a really good site for that. At the meeting, then, Marie mentioned this session in particular. This is a professional development workshop, a PDW that occurs right away, the first session on Friday morning at 8 o'clock. That is kind of an intro to the division, an intro to the conference. It's a great place to meet others that are new members of the division. And it's organized by the Making Connections Committee, which is an OB division committee that is geared at helping people become integrated into the division. It's a great group, and this is a great thing to attend. I would highly recommend it, making it your first session that you're there at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. And this is why everyone's going to get a copy of the slides, because there is a QR code where you can register for this PDW. Some PDWs require registration, some do not. Okay, this is something that you want to register for. It's a great opportunity, and I wouldn't miss it. The other thing that the Making Connections Committee does is they organized a one-on-one program that's meant to match new members with more seasoned members. This is something that helps make an initial connection going into your first meeting, and I would recommend this as well. This is something that if you're interested in, please register before the meeting. That way you can be matched up with someone, and it just provides you a nice point of contact so you get to know somebody a little bit that is more senior in the division and can help you kind of navigate that first conference, that first experience that you have. The additional things you see here that are other kind of events, some of these have been mentioned as well. They are really good events to consider attending. One that wasn't mentioned is the Lifetime Achievement Award presentations. This is something, if you want to hear from, those individuals that you are reading their papers in your doctoral seminars, this is your chance to do that when you're going to see these Lifetime Achievement Award winners. It's a really nice session, really interesting work. In addition to that, one of the organizers for this session is the Global Committee of the OB Division. And the Global Committee offers a number of different workshops as well. Some of these were mentioned in the chat already by Marie. One that I want to call your attention to is this Art of Writing and Publishing for Non-Native English Speakers. This is a very popular session. That is something that might be of interest to a number of you. And the other is we are always looking for new members on the Global Committee. So if you are looking for a chance to volunteer, to become involved, this is when we meet. The location will be announced when the formal program comes out. Okay, but this is a great chance to be involved with a relatively low time commitment, but something that is a chance to meet other people who are interested in maybe some similar things as yourself and participate and be involved in future sessions and such at the Academy. So some things to consider. This group also puts on a number of different helping you find the job in different locations, some information about finding jobs in Asia or finding jobs in Europe or finding jobs in Latin America or these kind of topics. Some of these occur at Academy. There does happen to be one more that's occurring before Academy. These sessions on these particular areas are going to be online prior to the Academy. And again, there's a QR code if you're interested in this. So this is a really quick, fast run through of a number of things. Okay, there's a lot that's here. And to talk about the number of things that are here, I think it would be useful to have a bit of a panel discussion with some individuals who are again, more seasoned and more recent. So to start, you've already heard from Marie and Jasmine, but could Maria and Osa please introduce yourself, and then we'll turn to the questions.
Should I start? Sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Funk, and I'm a research associate at the Technical University Berlin. And I was also a first-time attendee last year at the AOM. And so I hope I can bring some insights and also, just some things that I came across into the panel here.
Osa?
Osa, you can.
Hi, my name is Osa Osahirume, but you can call me Osas. I'm a PhD candidate at Case Western Reserve University at the OB department. I attended my first AOM in 2024, although I couldn't go last year. I hope I'll be able to like answer your questions and be of like help and tell you about my amazing experience at AOM. So yeah, thank you.
Well, let's start then the panel with just a general question about if there's a key piece of advice that you could give for new members attending their first academy, what would it be? So in general, what, Maria and Osa, if you'd like to answer first, and we'll follow by Maria and Jasmine.
Okay, I could answer that. The advice I would give was when I came for my AOM, I registered for the consortium and the mentor program. So when I registered for the mentor program, I got paired with a mentor, and when I had my one-on-one section with her, she taught me about the AOM. She sat me down and she showed me how to register for the sessions. She taught me how to book sessions, how to search for sessions, how to search with keywords and in the calendar and everything. And she was a person that introduced me to the OB, to the OB, sorry, to the OB, to this, sorry, to this, volunteer group where I was able to join here and meet these amazing people. And also I registered for the NDC consortium, which I got accepted in, and it taught me about the PDWs, how to join PDWs, symposium and everything. So I'll take the advice of Cal, register for the one-on-one mentorship, register for the consortium for the first timers. Those really like give you a kickstart program on how to navigate the AOM before you like get there and how to like start as a first timer.
Okay. One of the biggest advice that I got and that I also want to share with you is actually try to schedule your days in a way that you also have time to breathe and be spontaneous. So also join people that maybe also have ideas or sessions that you can join and you can connect with. So I think that was actually quite important because there's so much that you can get easily overwhelmed even before being there. And I think really going in there with the idea of, okay, well, but I will schedule my time in a way where I have time to breathe and connect, I think is really important. Yeah.
Marie and Jasmine?
I would say my advisor way back in the day wanted me to make sure that I wasn't on her coattails the entire conference, and she wanted me to go have fun on my own. Now, something that people find surprising is I'm actually pretty introverted, and so the thought of that scared the hell out of me. And I would say, don't be afraid. Just set yourself up for various networking sessions, PDWs, paper sessions, symposia. You're going to be incredibly humbled and surprised at how wonderful the community is within Academy and the OB division. I consider many individuals within it, my friends, my colleagues, individuals I really look forward to seeing at Academy each year. And so just put yourself out there and walk up and talk to people, even if it makes you a little anxious.
Yeah, definitely share with the sentiment just mentioned. I know it may feel a little bit overwhelming since there's so many sessions, PDWs and networking events. You can also have one-on-one private informal meetings. You never know who will become your friends on this very long academic journey. So I think reach out to people beforehand and be open-minded and enjoy the process. Like Marie said, this is really a very welcoming and warm intellectual home.
Thank you all. Let's turn here to things about scheduling a bit. If you had some advice in terms of how you schedule your conference, would you recommend looking only in one division, the OB division, would you recommend trying to schedule things from different divisions? Would you recommend trying to focus on seeing particular presenters that you'd like to see? How would you go about organizing this if you were doing this for the first time? Why don't we start with Maria this time?
Okay. I think first I would really look for sessions that are part of my main topic. I think that is really important because you can also try to connect with people that you or maybe don't know, but then will get to know. Second, I would look out for people I want to connect with that are maybe more senior even. And yeah, overall, also join your colleagues. If they have a session, join them, connect with them. Yeah, I think that's my idea. Yeah.
Osa, Marie, or Jasmine?
I'm going to reiterate Maria's thoughts. I think going into it, definitely look through the program and search based on topics, but I'm going to admit something uncomfortable of myself. And that is when I started Academy, I knew that I was interested in dark side concepts and deviance. And so I became a little bit of an academic stalker to Sandra Robinson, Becky Bennett, and Anna Leary Kelly, who were the individuals setting the foundation in that area. And so anything on the program that those ladies were presenting, I was there. And now they're all really good friends of mine. So I agree with Maria, earmark people that you get excited to read and try to see what they're presenting or what their doctoral students are presenting at Academy, but also look for other things that are interesting to you on your topic and things that you might be interested in a related topic. Sometimes I like to look at other areas outside of what I'm doing. I will tell you, for the first time ever, and this is not going to surprise you, AI was the hottest topic of submitted papers this year. Leadership has always been the number one theme of topic that has been submitted to OB. Well, AI has trumped leadership this year. And so you may see a variety of topics that splice your interests with other things such as AI or emotion or entrepreneurship or whatever. Stretch yourself, see what's going on in those areas as well. That's all I got to say.
Osa or Jasmine, anything to add on this?
I could go next. For my first time, what I did was like Maria mentioned, you have to know what you want. And for me, I was interested in followership. So when I went through the schedule, I googled keywords like followership and leadership. And when those words came out, I looked through the schedule and I saw the topics and I picked the topics that were interesting for me. And when I chose those topics, I went to the sessions. And when I went to the sessions, I was able to connect with some of the scholars. And one of the scholars today are going to be one of the organizers in the symposium I'm working with, just like trying to make connections and don't overbook your sessions, which is very important so that you'll be able to attend them. And secondly, before I went to AOM, I emailed some of the professors I read their work. I didn't know them in person, but I read their work and I found it very interesting. And one of them was willing to meet with me and I was able to like sit with her and I was able to like connect with her. So first of all, know what you want to do. Or even if you don't know what you want to do, but just like be able to like plan in a way that you don't overschedule, you know your interests, scan through what is there, like don't overbook too many sessions needy and take your time to absorb that session and connect because to like make sense of that section and of that moment. I said that's what I did during my period at AOM.
Yeah, all very well said. I think as very early career researcher, many of you probably don't really know what you'll be doing in the next years to come. So you don't really know what's your primary research interest. So if that's the case, stay very open-minded. At least that was what I was back 20 years ago. So I stay very open-minded as you browse the program and let the topics surprise you. You may find new ideas that inspire you. Marie said there's a lot of AI papers, even if you don't do AI research for now, but some of their papers and ideas might inspire you to revisit your current interest. When you spot a session by author whose work that you really know, like Arsha said earlier, you can reach out to them earlier, or you find it surprising one of the authors that whose paper you read are presenting. Just be brave and to go out, say hi, and connect, because those may be some of the best conversations to seek out.
So this is something I think that might be on some individuals' mind coming in. The Academy of Management Conference usually attracts around 10,000 people. It's a big conference, and the OB division is the largest group at the conference. How do I go into this and not feel overwhelmed? What can I do to help myself not feel overwhelmed at the conference? Why don't we start with Maria and Osa again, because this is something that's a recent experience for both of you. What can I do to prevent this or help myself get through this?
I think in the first place, it's also really helpful to accept that you will probably feel overwhelmed in certain situations because it is super new. You will be super excited. And I think just being okay and not getting frustrated with oneself, if you feel this way, is also a good strategy. And on the other hand, check in with yourself every day. Did I eat enough? Did I drink enough? Did I have enough sleep? And if you don't feel this way, then take it easy. On the specific day you feel this way. And what we also had on a slide is, which I really like, is the idea of having a mentor. You don't have to run around with them all the time, but have someone where you can be like, okay, well, now I would like to check in with you or just be with you, so you don't feel too overwhelmed when you have somebody you can connect with. So I think this was actually my strategy to come along with the days we had there. So yeah.
Okay, like Maria's advice is amazing. I could just add to that. Like when you are going to AOM, you would definitely be overwhelmed. New place, new faces, new environment. But I also advise that it's good to know the landscape because there are many hotels. Like when I went to Chicago, there are like 5 hotels. The buildings were large and the places were like different heights and everything. So I think when you are trying to like go for a session and everything, I think it's good to like plan the time movement from one hotel to the other, have your Google Maps with you and how to move. Because sometimes moving to one hotel to the other can take like 5 to 10 minutes and you have to like walk from one hotel to the next. You have to use your Google Maps. You have to ask questions. And by the time you get to the next place, maybe the section has already started, so it's kind of mixed up and you don't want to like overwork yourself and everything. So I think it's good to like having in mind that it might have like different hotels, different places you have to get to work. You have to just factor all that in and also like get rested, have I eaten enough, like just have that in mind, just like the way Maria mentioned. So that was very helpful.
Marie and Jasmine?
I'm just going to reiterate the message here, which is take care of you, because going to Academy can be like drinking out of a fire hose. And you need to really drink out of a fountain, right? So just pace yourself in relation to, as Asa said, even just getting from one location to the next. My first academies were action-packed with things that were scheduled, and I quickly realized it was an impossibility to do that. And so my now academy schedule, I put a few things that are on there that I know I want to attend, with some earmarks of things that I might attend if I don't get too exhausted. I told you I'm introverted. I'm not lying. And so going to all of these events and engaging with people is also exhausting. So just know yourself, know your limits, and make sure you're replenishing yourself really well. And I would also say, plan one thing that's about the city that you can go see. Philadelphia is action-packed with various historical kind of museums or statues or the bell tower or something along those lines that gets you outside of just the academy for a moment and allows you to kind of embrace the area as well. I try to do that with every academy conference.
Definitely agree with what has been said. It is true, with 10,000 people, AOM can feel like a lot. I think we probably need to stop trying to see everything. Just pick a few sessions that genuinely matter to you. And it's quite important to leave some room in your schedule for some unplanned conversations. Those probably can often be the best part. And don't measure your day by how much you cover. I know a lot of times we'll become very excited to see a lot of different topics we want to cover, this and this. But a large conference isn't like a race to attend. The most it's a chance to find the few people and ideas worth coming back to. So think of it as a small community you build inside a big crowd. That mental health also is very important, which I totally agree.
Let's have one more question for the panel, then we'll have this open for some more general questions as well from the audience. Let's start with the more seasoned scholars here for this one. And that is, are there things that you feel like first-time attendees or new attendees don't use enough? Is there some kind of events that you would recommend to be sure to attend that maybe you wouldn't think of as a new member for the first time?
I don't think, if you're a more junior individual and doctoral student, I think one thing that can go into it is a bit of imposter syndrome and not signing up for things like PDWs where you might think you have nothing to add. That's not true. They're there to help you and build you as a stronger scholar and network and build communities of conversation for your scholarship. So take advantage of them. They're there for a reason. There's also, by the way, Micro Communities has set up this really cool setup within the OB division where they hold hostage a whole coffee shop or a whole area where there's constantly drinks, some snacks, and everything like it that is set up for people to just walk in, take a respite, and have conversation. Sometimes it's scheduled based on topic, and sometimes it's just open. So just take advantage of those little things as well.
Exactly. For the first time I attend Academy, I didn't know there are so many receptions and so much great food. And this is something you can do research beforehand.
Okay. At this point, why don't we have a chance to open this up to general Q&A? I will start because I did receive one direct message question in the chat that is about, we've mentioned a couple different like committees or the global committees, the Making Connections Committee. How do we join these kind of committees? The short answer to this is show up. That's the first and easiest kind of thing to describe for this. For the Global Committee, for example, this is a group that's about 30 to 35 people in general that are all relatively active. It's about 80% of the committee is somewhat active. But the way we recruit new members is we invite people to come to the meeting, and they come and they get involved. There are some that do things a little differently. One of the things that I would generally recommend to you is when you see the general AOM page for new individuals, you'll find information about volunteering. If you want to have a good way to meet new individuals, think about opportunities for volunteering for things. And it can be really very minor things. It can be things that are a little bit more of a commitment. You obviously need to watch this. But these kind of things, there are certain groups that are a little bit more restrictive and things like this. But there are a lot who are actively seeking people to help. You'd be surprised at how much that really goes on. The Global Committee for OB is one of them. Okay. All of these kind of groups very often are looking for people to assist, and we want new people to be involved. Okay. It can be intimidating, but there is an interest, to having and incorporating new people. And the more people you get to know in the division, the better your experience is going to be. If there's not anything coming, I do have one more question that was directed to me in the chat, and I think it's actually probably best to open this up to the members of the panel as well. People are recommending reaching out to others, but I always think, why would they want to meet me? Okay. I get nervous when I connect with others. Okay. Any tips on how to connect, whether it's a senior scholar or a peer? How do you make that first connection, that first step? So why don't we start with Maria and Osa, if you have information, and then if others have things to add, you can.
I mean, having a similarity, it could be an interest, it could be, in this case, probably a topic, is well then enough. I think even if it is a senior scholar, if you have something interesting to share, share it. I mean, still they decide if they want to, I don't know, grow the connection or meet you at AOM. But if you do not try, there's no chance for this to happen. So I do totally understand being nervous about it. But on the other hand, try it. Like there's nothing negative coming from it. So, yeah, but I do understand the feeling of being nervous. But having a similarity and going with it in the email, I think really helps.
Okay. For me, how I connected with someone at AOM. So when like I said, I was interested in that topic and I read her papers and I was always seeing her name popping up and I was like, she's coming for AOM, and I checked and I saw she was coming for AOM. So I sent an email to her and I was like, hi, Professor, I would love to connect with you. And I said, I read a paper in your twin volume paper and this is what I learned. And I would love if you could talk about this topic. And if you have like 10 to 15 minutes at AOM. And she was like, oh, sure, we could talk about it. And when we met at AOM, I was like, I read about your research and this is what I found out. And I just want to know more about it. And when we met in person and she got to tell me about how she came about the topic and how our research evolved to get to this point. So like Maria said, it's all about interest and what you want, what made you, like all about interest and how you build a connection. So that's how I was able to establish my own contact with that professor. So
Maria, Jasmine, anything to add or advice for people who are in this position for the first time?
So I teach a class that helps my students with networking, and I try to practice what I preach as best I can. I've reached a different aspect of my career in terms of networking for sure, but it's always nerve-wracking when you go into it. So what you might do ahead of Academy is earmark individuals that you would really love to meet and find out where they're going to be, a reception or something along those lines, PDW session where there's going to be engaged open conversation, and earmark some notes about some questions you may have, not to interrogate them when you see them, but to engage some good conversation. That way you're not stuck in the moment because, I remember the first time I met, I can't believe I'm brain farting on her name. It's going to come to me in a second, but huge famous individual. She's at Carnegie Mellon. She is a staple in relation to psychological
Denise
contracts.
Russo?
Thank you, Denise Rousseau.
We were thinking about the same person.
I was with one of my mentors, Marshall Schmenke, and I walked up to her and I'm like, Denise Rousseau. And my advisor was so embarrassed. I'm like, I own your book. That's all I could think to say to her. And she said, thank you, dear. And I said, actually, I have 2 of your books. And she goes, my children, thank you, dear. Hilarious. But I wish I had prepped in advance for some questions that I could ask in the moment that I didn't think of in that time. So learn from networking tips that, have some generalized questions that you can ask individuals, even impromptu, if you see them.
Yeah, definitely. I think I recall when I was a junior scholar, I feel like the senior people felt unreachable, like there were an invisible line I was not supposed to cross. But what I learned is the line was mostly in my head. And the simplest move works best is just read something, like you all said, they wrote, and tell them specifically what it meant for your own thinking. You have nothing to lose. You're not asking them to mentor you for life. I mean, scholars usually remember the person who engaged with their ideas, and not necessarily the person who said, I'm a big fan. And my experience told me like the majority of senior scholars are very nice. They're not monsters. They don't bite.
There is another question that came in the general chat that I want to make sure to clarify, and that's about if we miss the initial welcome session, can we still have a chance to meet up with the mentor? Just to be clear, those are 2 different things. So the initial session, the professional development workshop that's done by the Making Connections Committee from 8 to 10 on Friday morning, first session of the Academy, is one offering that is there. The chance to set up something in advance and be paired with someone that's more senior in a one-on-one is a separate program. You don't need to attend the 8 to 10 session to participate in that other one-on-one arrangement. Frankly, if you can do both, I would. Okay. But one does not preclude the other to that. Okay. In fact, for the one-on-one, it's really good if you reach out register for that in advance, so you can be paired in advance and perhaps have some communication ahead of time going into the meeting, so you have a chance to meet it in person while you're there. To have that done in advance is a good idea. In the last roughly 10 minutes, okay, this will be a chance for us now to go into we're going to have basically assign individuals at random to breakout rooms. There's really no other good way to do this with the numbers that are here. Many of you are students that are here. There are a number that are postdocs. There's some that are assistant professors, but all of you are in the situation where you're new to the Academy and coming for the first time. What I would encourage you to do when we set this up is just introduce yourself, get to know somebody else that's coming for the first time. You know someone going in. I wish looking back that I knew someone going in, and had a chance to do something like this. So just get the chance to know someone going in a bit. A couple of us from the panel will maybe stepping into a few of the breakout rooms over time. And this is just to, if you want to ask us any questions, not in the full session, then you have a chance to do that. It was great having everyone here. So when you're finished with your rooms, you are welcome to step off. And I hope this has been useful for you. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out after you have a chance to connect with others.